just came in, the former publisher of the Bay Guardian and another publisher from another newspaper. So this turns it into a media event. All right. Welcome.
Welcome. Actually, thank you all for coming. Elvin.
Hello everyone, my name is Elvin Padilla. I work with the Tenderloin Economic Development Project, and I'm a resident of the neighborhood, live a few blocks from here on Leavenworth. So what I'm doing basically is going to do a description of a proposal. I'm going to have a handout here. I didn't realize it would be such a big group, which is very cool to see. So if there's some of you that came as pairs, please share so that everyone has a chance to look at this. Can you guys share up here? Thanks. Just please pass it around. Thank you very much. Please pass it. Thank you. Alright, so what this is, everyone's heard about the big boom on Mid-Market Street. A lot of companies are coming, a lot of businesses are moving in, a lot of buildings are getting bought and fixed up. So, folks have probably also heard of community benefit agreements that the city and the community are signing with a lot of the, mostly tech companies that are moving into the neighborhood. So what this is a way to complement the community benefit agreements, because the community benefit agreements have been fantastic and a wonderful way to get the new neighbors, the tech companies like Twitter and Yammer and Zendesk. I'm not a tech person, so I don't know all of them, but a lot of them are coming in and they're doing these community benefit agreements, and they volunteer with TNDC, they volunteer with St. Anthony's, they volunteer with Boys and Girls Club, so they're doing some cool stuff. And there's a community advisory committee that helps basically introduce the tech companies with the neighborhood, and they've been doing a lot of excellent, amazing volunteer work, spending a lot of time volunteering to connect the tech companies to the neighborhood. So what this is a funding about how the neighborhood can make money off of the big boom in real estate investment that's going on mid-market right now. Okay? And I'll tell you the advantage you all have here. My background is sociology, anthropology. I'm a sociologist by background in school. So if I can understand public finance stuff, anybody could understand public finance stuff, right? Don't let anybody scare you about the words public finance. It's all something that we're going to get in a few minutes. Everyone in this room is going to be an expert. Okay. The reason why, by the way, I'm doing this is because my group has been trying to find ways to get projects built in the neighborhood. The Tenderloin Central YMCA, there's this big art education project that we've been trying and hope to still build on Turk Street. There's a school that was interested also in coming to the Hastings site on Golden Gate along with the YMCA. UC Hastings got that great big hall. A lot of folks probably have never even seen because it's boarded up for so many years. It's right on McAllister, and if you walk in there, you would be amazed because the space is so beautiful, and it's totally closed to the neighborhood because it's all boarded up. And the reason why it's boarded up is because Hastings doesn't have the money to fix it up, clean it up, and get a company in there doing something. So, one other quick thing, a lot of folks in the neighborhood know about the struggle to get the YMCA to make good on their promise to build a new YMCA for the neighborhood. So one of the reasons why that hasn't happened yet is because the Central YMCA administration, the people who run the YMCA organization Bay Area wide, are saying that there's just not enough money out there to build us our new YMCA on Golden Gate Avenue. So what we got here is a way that I think could generate some money so projects like the YMCA can get built. Okay, real quick, first page, and if anyone doesn't have a copy, I'll just show you from up here, hopefully. How do projects like the YMCA and the 950 Center for Art and Education, that's what we're calling the new center we hope to build on Turk Street, how do they happen at all? Answer, they get funded. I know that seems like a silly answer because it's so simple, but that's as simple as the real world works. How do they get funded? So think of 3 different places where the money is going to come from. The public side, city, state, and federal. Okay? The private side, foundations, like Hewlett Foundation, San Francisco Foundation. There's a bunch of others that are big foundations in California and the Bay Area. Corporations like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and then private wealthy individuals who may dig your project and decide to write some big checks. Okay? And then the last one is debt. A loan the project takes out to pay for the gap. So let's say you go and you do all your fundraising because you want to build something, and you go to all the foundations, you go to all the corporations, and they give you whatever money they're going to give you. Then you go to the government, city government, state government, federal government, and they give you whatever money they're going to give you. And then in the end, if you have a gap, you could take out a loan. So like, a credit card or going to a bank and getting out a loan, and maybe that loan will give you the rest of the money you need to build whatever it is you want to build. Like in this case, we're talking about the YMCA. Okay? Now, real quick, and this is not going to be any news to you all here, but the last line is the problem line that will decide whether projects get built or whether they do not get built. A lot of projects that have to do with public interest, community interest programming, cannot afford any debt at all. So if they don't get enough money from the first 2 sources, they will not get built from the get-go. Or sometimes they're able to show they can afford some debt, so they'll take on some debt, the building goes up, and then 3-5 years later, they discover they're having trouble meeting their debt payments. Like most everybody, I certainly have had all kinds of struggles with credit card debt payments. It's the same thing with an organization and doing a new building. If you're under a rock from the get-go, from day one, you build this thing and you got debt that later on you find is too heavy, later on, even though you built it, you can still have an issue. So we want to eliminate, we want to reduce or ideally eliminate the bottom one. And the top 2 ones are where we should get most of our money, if not all of our money. All right, next page. How can the city help pay for projects like the Central YMCA, 950 Center for Art and Education? Answer, funds from the increase in property taxes. Where is there a big increase in property taxes? Answer, mid-market. We all know that. How can the city capture the increase in property taxes to spend in the Tenderloin? So here's where a bunch of us have been working. We decided to call it the Tenderloin Funding Capture District. All right? And that's a name we just made up. If other folks have a better name, open to suggestion. The actual legal name is so boring and terrible that I didn't want to use that. We'll find out in a second. All right, everyone with me? We're going to do the quick math here. Everyone's going to be an expert in a couple minutes. How would a Tenderloin Funding Capture District work? Let's look at an example. All right, we're going to do the Twitter building. Because the Twitter building is the most famous building out there. That's the one that's gotten the most attention. Okay? Step 1. Add how much the building costs to buy and how much will it cost to fix it up. Answer, the Twitter building was bought for $110 million. The company that bought it is spending another $80 million to fix it up. So we add these two, the $110 million with the $80 million, we get $190 million. That is the new value that the building is going to be taxed at.
All right.
All right? Yeah. Well, it depends who you are when it's all right or not. That's where we're going. Step 2, find out the old value that the building was taxed at before it got bought and fixed up. Answer, the Twitter building's old value was $23 million. Okay? Step 3, subtract the old value from the new value to figure out the increase in value. So we get, we're doing the math here, $190 million minus $23 million equals 167 million increase in value. This is the increase that the city is going to start taxing that building on. By the way, I see some shocked looks on people's faces. This should be good news for the neighborhood. This means that more money has been invested basically in our backyard. So like my man here said, all right, the question is what happens with all that additional investment, okay? Step 4, figure out how much more the city gets each year from the increase in property value. $167 million increase times the property tax rate, which is 1%. So the city each year from that one building alone is going to get $1,670,000 additional taxes each year. Also a good thing, right? More money flowing into this part of the neighborhood. Trying to figure out how we capture some of that now so that it benefits us here locally. Next step, figure out how much a Tenderloin funding capture district can keep. So the number up here is how much the city gets, right? Now the question is how much can be kept locally, and that is decided by how much the law allows the city to keep locally. 65% is the maximum amount of the value, that number that can be kept locally. It could be less than that, it can't be more than that. So we're going to do 65% times 1.67 million. This is the amount the city could dedicate annually to Tenderloin public financing. All right, one last step. Everyone fasten your seatbelts for this last one. All right, so you got $1 million, right, that we're able to capture. This is from just one building. Now we're going to bond off of that. Thank you. Now a bond is like taking out a mortgage on a house. The word bond used to confuse me for a long, long time. I don't know why they call it bond, but it's basically a mortgage. So if the city goes to a bank and says, look, this building right here is generating $1 million a year, how much of a loan will you all, the bank, give us based on a guaranteed income of $1 million a year? So the banks do what they do. They'll check out the risk. They'll say, well, is this a high risk, a low risk? Is that $1 million for real? So there'll be some back and forth negotiating, right? The maximum amount of a mortgage you can take out is 30 years. If you take out a 30-year bond or mortgage based on a building that's creating $1 million a year, you could generate altogether approximately $15 million. So that's the end of my speaking time, and I'm happy to answer questions. And any questions at all, don't worry about it. Yes?
Brings up a lot of questions. First of all, who's going to be in the district? Will local people from this neighborhood be able to sit on the board of directors for that district, and how's it going to run?
Excellent question. The way this would happen, if this happens at all, it would have to happen by a motion that Supervisor Kim would have to introduce to the board and start a process internally with the Board of Supervisors. So since Supervisor Kim will be in the driver's seat, I imagine that she will have authority on creating something, maybe like a community advisory board, the same way that was created for the community benefit district. So the answer to your question is that it would largely be up to a negotiation between the supervisor and between the neighborhood. I mean, I'm sure the neighborhood will have some people that it would like to see on that advisory thing to decide. And Supervisor Kim, since she's the supervisor, she's going to want to have some people as well. But that's a back and forth. Anyone else have any questions at all?
Yeah, I live right around the corner from this project,
Okay.
Market. The original deal was President Chu had said that site would be tax-free, property tax-free. So this mill that was slated for the community, we're not going to get it because when they cut a deal, when the board of supervisors cut that deal, to say in order to put her here, because the food was talking about moving down
They went wrong.
Central Valley, I mean down to Silicon Valley. right? So they gave them a tax break in order to maintain them here. So
That's correct.
some of this money we're not going to see.
That's correct.
So we need to rework the numbers.
Well, the tax break, I don't know what Twitter is getting in terms of the total
It's a big
amount.
tax break.
But it's a big tax break. This is the number that the city will be getting in property tax. Yeah. Anyone else? All right, if anyone would like to follow up any questions at all, I'm always around the neighborhood, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.